Hello everyone, my name is Don, the movie reviewer, and today we're going to be talking about Blade Runner 2049. Now, I am not a fan of the Blade Runner series. I saw the original Blade Runner, not when it first came out because I wasn't alive yet, but I saw the original, the director's cut. Now, a lot of people say, well, you need to watch the final cut because the final cut is the definitive version of the original Blade Runner. And I haven't seen that part yet. I was going to go to the theater and watch that, but I didn't get around to it. But I did see the director's cut a while back, and my first opinion of it, I didn't like it. I thought it was very slow, it was very dull. I mean, Harrison Ford is a very handsome man. He looks good even to this day. Um, Other than that, I didn't really find anything significant about the original Blade Runner. Now, I will get around to watching the final cut. Will I review it or not? I don't know. But I will get around to it eventually. But here's my review of the sequel, 2049.
Every civilization was built off the back of a disposable workforce. But I can only make so many. Happy birthday. The key to the future is finally unearthed. Bring it to me. They know you're here.
Your story isn't over yet. There's still a page left.
Blade Runner 2049 is the sequel to the not-so-successful during its time cult classic Blade Runner from 1982, starring a young and handsome Harrison Ford. This sequel picks up 32 years after the events of the original. Current Blade Runner, K, works for the LAPD to track and kill bioengineered humans called replicants. Where do I begin? This movie starts off beautifully. My mind and my eyes quickly become immersed into this world that's full of neon lights, the synth sounds of Hans Zimmer, the visual cues directed by Denis Villeneuve, and the interest that something compelling might happen. As the movie progressed, my intrigue started to decline. I felt like the movie was beating me over the head with how smart it tried to be. The viewer has to focus on objects and a progressive plot in order to keep track of what is going on. But once I already found out what everything presented to me was all about, I lost interest in something where at first I assumed it would be compelling. If you watch the second trailer for this movie, it pretty much spoils everything. Ryan Gosling's character is a replicant, but don't worry, the movie gets all of that out of the way in the first 5 minutes. Once the movie got past the obvious, if you've seen the first film, everything during the first hour was intriguing. But it all slowed down during the second hour where I didn't care about what was happening on screen because the movie beat me over the head with trying to find out about some child who was born from a replicant. The storyline would have been interesting if it hadn't already been obvious that Ryan Gosling's character was indeed the child that everyone was looking for, because everyone is just freaking out about how this baby could change the world and shape the course of history. Like I care. After the first 20 minutes or so, which it felt like, I was just ready for the story to move on from Ryan Gosling's dilemma about him being the baby that everyone was searching for. Once we got past his emotional breakdown, that's when the movie started to get good again. Harrison Ford shows up to reprise his role from the original Blade Runner as character Rick Deckard. His role was minimal. I just said, oh, hey, it's Harrison Ford, and that's pretty much it. Harrison Ford did give a good performance during the scenes when he was crying and being emotional. But as an overall story arc with him, I was met with pretty empty feelings towards it all. Because simply, I just didn't care. At a certain point during the middle section of the movie, I just wanted it to end or add in some other element to keep the story going and keep it fresh because what I was presented with was boring and dry. It was tired and I just didn't care. I was yelling at the screen in my mind like, just move on from this already because this is getting dry and tired. But
Hold up.
there's a twist. Ryan Gosling's character isn't the baby that everyone was looking for. Nope, not at all. It's a woman who we spend at least 8 minutes with in one scene. At that point, I just said, screw this movie, let's wrap this up and call it a day. But nope, it didn't want to end there. Now we meet some woman who's the leader of a replicant freedom movement, and she tells Ryan Gosling's character to kill Rick Deckard because the bad guys have him, and he's too high of a risk to be kept alive. Now I say to myself, okay, this is slightly getting good. Will Kay kill Rick Deckard, or wouldn't he? Who cares? Because there's a fight, and then Ryan Gosling takes Harrison Ford to see his daughter for the first time. Ryan Gosling hams it up on his usual frowning and making sad faces. Denis Villeneuve knows exactly how to use these actors. Harrison Ford's Rick Deckard was boring, but hey, I'm glad Harrison Ford came back. Jared Leto plays Mr. Wallace, the creator of the replicants, and his performance was good. He played a cool character. He looked good. Ana de Armas plays Joy, who functions like the operating system in the 2013 film Her. Her relationship with Ryan Gosling's character was interesting at first. I felt Kay's loneliness, his desire and love towards Joe, but during the middle portion of the film, the movie hinted at how Joe could die if a certain device was crushed. But once the movie hinted at that, I knew exactly what was going to happen. It just is completely obvious. And it's just like, I simply didn't care once they crushed the device. I mean, the music kicks in and tries to make you feel some sort of empathy towards the situation. But I really didn't care because I already knew it was going to happen. I mean, I guess you're supposed to feel for Ryan Gosling's character about how sad and emotional it is to him. But as a viewer getting sucked into his life and into this world, I saw it coming from a mile away and it was just pretty dull to me. Blade Runner 2049 is not a masterpiece. It's not even a good movie. It's an okay movie with cool visuals, sounds, acting, and a decent plot. The music, the visuals, the acting, and some of the brutality during most action scenes are the only things that keep this slightly dull but pretty entertaining sci-fi fantasy film in a moderate area of interest for me. I didn't care about the story halfway through because it kept beating me over the head with the mystery about who the child was and how Kay thought he was that child. But then there's a twist and Kay's not the child and it's some woman who we only spend 8 minutes with in one scene, and it really pissed me off because when they spent so much time on Kay being the child when they should have just moved on from that plot because it was getting dry fast. Overall, I'll give Blade Runner 2049 a solid B. Give it a B. I didn't think this film was very good. I wouldn't watch it again. The initial part of the film was interesting, but the middle part focused way too much on Kay being the supposed child that everyone is looking for, and it just kept playing out and it drawed out and just became really dry and tired. I just wanted to move on from that. Then finally we meet Harrison Ford, and by the time I met him, I really didn't care all that much. I was just like, oh, hey, it's Harrison Ford. He has one fighting scene, cool, but I don't, like, obviously he doesn't want to kill him. it's really, I don't know, it's just too elaborate for its own good, and it doesn't need to be there. And then, once everything was revealed during the film, it just abruptly ended. It just abruptly ended, setting up a sequel that will most likely be released in our year of 2049. So, as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.